Richard, are you excited that we're doing the festival at the Hilton?
Beyond. Not just for the festival, but that we're doing everything at the Hilton. We're staying there. The festival's there. I'm going to go to the bar there. I'm going to have breakfast there. It's like one-stop shop.
Yay! It's actually the Hilton Melbourne we're staying in, I think.
I'm very excited.
And guests can also stay there too.
They sure can. They can call. You have to call. The number's down below. And then you use the guest code Wolfheart to unlock exclusive savings for that weekend.
Fantastic. I can't wait to see everybody there.
It'll be fun. See you soon.
Check the links below or call 321-768-0200 and use code Wolfheart when booking to unlock exclusive deals for our festival guests.
It's the Wolf Media Festival Podcast. Today's guests: the author of Original Grace and The Turned God series, author Joyce Serrano. And now, here's your hosts, Kyle Hollingsworth, Richard Wilmore, and Jacquelynn Wolfheart. But first, here is an excerpt from the award-winning book Original Grace.
First thing is the amulet I can't remove. It's like a cloak that keeps anyone from locating me while I am wearing it. It has nothing to do with my memories or my abilities. The only thing it does is keep me hidden. Why can't you take it off? Asta's question was a little more than Grace wanted to share, but she would try to provide a vague response. The one who placed it on me sealed it with blood. Only the blood that was originally used to seal it can remove it. The rest is complicated and starts an entirely different line of questions I don't want to answer right now. How in the world are you supposed to find blood from nearly 2,000 years ago? Galen asked. That's not something I really need to worry about. The second thing I wanted to tell you is that I'm technically much older than any of us expected.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Richard.
Hi.
I'm excited to welcome our guest today. Her name is Joyce Serrano, and she is an author of 6 books. Her book, entitled Original Grace, actually won in the festival Best Science Fiction Fantasy. Yay!
That's why she's here.
I know! When she's not traveling or writing, she's actually at home doing home improvement projects and gardening, my kind of girl. We're so happy to have you here. Welcome, Joyce.
Hi, Joyce.
Thank you. I really appreciate being here.
Yeah, where were you when you found out you won? I love this question.
Yeah.
When I found out I won, actually I was in bed and I just opened my email and I saw it and I was like, wow, because a lot of times when I write, don't laugh at me. I know you're going to laugh at me. I've got one of those desks that go over the top of the bed and can roll back on it.
Ooh,
I know.
Yes. I won't
It's
laugh,
pretty
but I'll ask you
awesome.
where you got it from because I want one.
Yeah.
Of those.
I want one.
Amazon.
Of course.
Get everything on Amazon.
Okay.
Of course. So I've got one of those and I don't remember if I was editing something or writing something, and I just figured, oh, I better check my email, and it popped up and I was like, I honestly, I entered, I don't really enter any contest. I think I've entered maybe 3 ever. So I wasn't really expecting anything. I was expecting it to be oh, hey, thanks for trying. Here you go. And I won, and I was extremely grateful and humbled.
Aww. And are you going to come to the festival next year?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. It'd be fun to meet you in person. Although, did I read correctly that you also live in South Carolina?
I do. I'm right outside of Charleston.
I do too.
You're up near Greenville, right?
Yeah, we can jump on the same plane to the festival next year.
I'm driving.
Well then I'll
It's only
give you gas money.
It's only 6 hours for me from here, so.
Oh, nice.
Not too bad.
Yeah, it's a nice little drive. And I'm going to take, I've got a friend of mine who actually helped me with my lighting in here, and I'm going to bring her with me because she edits videos and, does some stuff like that. So she's coming with. She's my +1.
You'll have your social media team there.
So I have a question about Grace.
Yes.
I read about it started as a series of recurring dreams that then became a short story that then became a novel. So I wondered if you could speak to that journey a little bit and how that all came about.
It all started out on a, Richard will be very familiar with this, hurricane lockdown. Yep. We had about a 5-day spread, and fortunately we had our electricity and basically nothing else to do. except eat and watch TV. So I was catching up on all of the latest superhero movies that were out. When those ran out, I started watching some vampire TV shows and some supernatural TV shows because that's just the stuff that I love to watch. And then the next few weeks, I just kept having all these weird dreams and they just wouldn't go away. And it was probably 3 months of, having the same dreams over and over and over. And it was just getting to the point where I've got to get this out of me somehow. So I just started writing it. And maybe 2 hours and 15 pages later, I'm sitting there going, this could be a little something. And it just kind of took off from there. And I let one of the people that I work with take a look at it. And he looks at me and he goes, you should really write this shit down. And I'm like, I kind of did.
That's what we're doing. And this is part of the Turned God series, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. And you have 4 books in that series plus 2.
I've got 2 that are in the main series, and I've got a third one that's coming out probably before this episode airs. It'll be out on the 15th of September. And then I've got my little character companion. They're little side novellas, and I take some of the characters that I really love that don't get a lot of action in the main series and kind of pull them out and give them their own little 100 or 200 pages to get their stories out. And some of those are very near and dear to my heart. I love my side characters.
Nice.
I think that's so interesting that you say like the characters in your book that you wrote that don't get a lot of love that you give them another book when you
Yep.
I think that's so interesting that like you're very like, okay, this is the plan for this book and this is the and you're, even though I love them, I'm not going to give them a starring role, but I'll give them something else, another project. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. I love the idea of being able to just like learn a little bit more about the characters though. That concept is really cool to me. So you had your start in your education rather in computer science?
Computer science and then computer information systems. They're 2 different fields, and I never actually did finish either one of them. My GI Bill ran out, and I just didn't have the money for it, and decided, well, I'm just going to move on from here. Let's go.
And you just said GI Bill, so want to talk about that?
Yes, I was in the Marine Corps for 13 years, and I started out as an armorer, which it was fun. It was a lot of dirty work. And then I got to lat move in when I was about 6 years in. I was getting ready to reenlist, and I made a lat move into air traffic control. That was so exciting. I absolutely love doing that.
I always imagine that so stressful.
I mean, I guess it can be. I'm probably have a little bit of a weird personality type, but it was very kind of calming for me. I like to be able to control things, and that just fit for me. So.
Right.
That's what my therapist says as well. Did you come from a military family? And also, did you come from like a creative family at all?
I guess my grandmother was very creative. She taught me, I was reading by 3. She taught me how to do all the handcrafty things, knit, crochet, sew, pour candles, just all those little home things, because I'm from West Virginia originally. So there were a lot of things that you kind of had to do just to survive up there. So that's where I think I got my creative side, was from her. And as far as the background, my family is very military oriented. My father was a Marine. My uncle was a Marine. I've got another uncle who defected and went to the Army, but we're not going to discuss that. Had an aunt who was in the Air Force. And then I've got my sister was also in the Marine Corps. And then I've got 2 children. One was in the Marine Corps and one was in the Navy. Well, I should say I've got more than 2 children, but I have only 2 that went to the service. So
that's a lot of military.
Yeah,
it is. And honestly, it's the only way to get out of the small town that I grew up in. So that is the path that I went. I wanted to travel the world, and you can't do that in West Virginia.
I get it.
Not at that time. That was, back when there weren't a lot of opportunities.
Yeah. I'm from a small town too. I hear you.
Can we talk about the book a little bit? Like, tell everybody what it's about, and then also kind of like the other books in this series as well.
Okay. The main premise starts out with a woman named Grace, and she's an immortal woman who finds herself in Scandinavia around 336 AD. And so that's not where the book starts. So I'm just kind of giving you a little bit of background. It is something that I do tell people through the book from another character's perspective. So everything that I'm going to tell you is things that are imparted to other people in the book through conversations. So she wakes up in Scandinavia, 336. She doesn't realize that she's immortal. She just knows that she doesn't remember who she is. And she spends probably another 20 or 30 years before she comes to find out, oh, hey, I'm not aging. So I also have these other kind of abilities that I don't understand, that I don't know how to use. And she is wearing an amulet around her neck. It's a huge sapphire amulet that she can't take off. And she's just kind of concerned, just really like, what is going on here? What is my purpose? Why are all these people dying around me and I'm not? So she goes through several centuries of this where everybody she gets close to dies, and she just gets very frustrated with her entire life. And then she starts hearing about these other immortal species and wants to go and find them. And that's when she finds vampires. And she makes an alliance with them, and they become her found family.
How do you, like, since you kind of, this came to you sort of through dreams, how did you organize writing a book since like your first book? How did you organize, like,
I really didn't. I really didn't. It started out as a short story, and then it kind of grew into a novella. And then I started looking at it, and I'm like, there's a little bit more here. And I just kept adding to it and adding to it. And it probably took me about a year before I was like, this is a full-fledged book, and maybe I ought to have somebody else look at it and do some editing on it, because it's kind of grown. And I never intended to write another book after that. So the second one just kind of, it just didn't want to leave me, I just had more story to tell. So then I wrote the second book, and then I started on some of the character companions, and it just snowballed.
Things happen like that.
Yeah. Was it interesting to be like, I'm an author now?
I still feel like an imposter. I just don't know, I mean, and I may always feel that way.
An award-winning author. So
An award-winning imposter. There we are. I want to know, I just kind of want to ask you a little bit about her supernatural abilities.
Sure.
Can you just share just a little taste.
She has an ability that I refer to as phasing. So she can move through objects or let objects move through her. So that's pretty interesting, and gets her in just a tiny little bit of trouble. And I'm not going to tell you what that trouble is, because you have to read my book.
Okay. Is that because that would be a superpower you would want?
I don't know if I'd really want that one. I think she does have another superpower. It's she is telepathic, and I think I would want that one.
That would be fun. That would be fun. I think.
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, what would be your superpower of choice if you had, like, outside of your characters in your books or not? Like, what would you love to?
I think probably telepathy would be a good one. That way, what people are really thinking and who to stay away from. You get those warning signals. You're walking down the street. You want to know, hey, who is looking to be a naughty person out here?
Now, I did read, I just kind of want to go back to your personal stuff for a second. I did read that you lived in Japan for a number of years.
I did. I was there for 4 years when I was in the Marine Corps, and
in the Marine
absolutely loved it. I would go back there in a minute. It was the most fantastic place to raise kids.
I've been to Japan once, and it was one of the most impactful trips of my life. It's just an amazing, beautiful place.
I have military friends who have been in Okinawa, and the thing I would never go there for are the bug and the like giant spider pictures that they've sent.
We live in South Carolina. You were discussing bugs.
Listen, yeah. Well, I also lived in Texas with giant cockroaches, but
Yeah.
when they're like, that's a no for me.
I don't know anything about this, so I heard nothing about spiders when I was there. What are we
Like
talking about?
giant spiders, like in the
Australia
back of
spiders? Like Australian
giant.
spiders that
In
are
my
just
head, they were like the size of my head, but they were probably like that big. I don't know,
Okay.
but the pictures looked disgusting.
I don't remember any giant spiders, to be honest, but there were geckos everywhere which ate the spiders.
That's
Those I can
good.
handle.
That's good.
Yeah, and they're cute. Geckos are
Yeah.
adorable.
Geckos are adorable. So you've also done something that I can't even imagine because I've not done it and I don't know that I ever will, but you've been to nearly every state in this country.
I have.
Is that military related or how did that happen?
That really started with my mom. When my sister and I were little, we would pick a vacation spot every year. We would take 2 weeks and go somewhere, and it was always theme park oriented. My mom was a big, huge proponent of theme parks, and I love them to this day. So we would pick a theme park in a destination where we could go and be back within, the 2 week time frame, and we would always drive. So we would stop at the biggest ball of twine or just whatever seemed interesting on our way to these theme parks, and we ended up in most of the states in the US. And then I went to Hawaii a few years ago when my daughter was stationed down there. I've been to Alaska, but that one I can say I've been there. However, it was to the airport where I spent 18 hours and they let us outside, but I still count it because we got to go outside.
You were in it for a second.
Yeah, we were in it. I was there for 18 hours. I count that.
Yeah.
It was just traveling. I love traveling by car. I was stationed in California as well, and when my 3 daughters were young, they were 8, 6, and then I had a newborn who was 6 weeks old. We took a train from LA, and I got the sleeping car, and we went all the way to Virginia on the train, and it was the best trip I have ever had in my life.
Really?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. Would you say that all the traveling and these adventures that you've had, would you say they inform your writing at all?
I think they do. It kind of leaves me open to the perspectives of other people because, you get to visit all these different places and see how different people live and how they react to different things and a way that you may not necessarily react. And I just really enjoy traveling and kind of seeing different places and seeing how different people live.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I love that.
Do you have a favorite book of yours that you've written, or do you love all of them like children, like your children? You don't have a favorite.
We all have a favorite child, don't we?
Only have one.
You just
so I
don't
don't know.
I have 0.
You just
so
don't tell the others.
That's true.
No, that's I really like all my books. I've got to say, I think I have a character that I love the most, but I don't necessarily love the book that I wrote about her the most. My favorite character companion is not out yet, and that one is going to be coming out in probably December or January, but that's my favorite book that I've written. My favorite character is going to be Lily. And one of the reasons, one of the reasons that Lily is my favorite character is I named her after my Chihuahua, who actually passed away here a few months ago. So she kind of gives me all the attitude of a Chihuahua. She's acerbic. She doesn't take anybody's garbage. She's just there, and you take her or you leave her.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Oh, thank you.
A good way to honor her. Can we talk about publishing for a little bit and how you do that? Do you
Yes.
self-publish? Do you have a publisher? Like, what
I
do you
am
recommend for people?
self-published. When I first started writing, it took a lot to figure out how to go the self-publishing route because everybody gives you different advice. Every single person you talk to has something different to tell you about self-publishing. So I would say probably the biggest lessons that I learned with self-publishing, get a good editor. That is the very first thing you should ever do with self-publishing. Get the best editor that you can afford.
That's smart.
Once you've got your editing done, definitely get a professional to do your cover. I have seen some covers that are self-done and they're good, but they're never going to be at the level that a professional is going to be at. Going through that, I've also recently gotten I refer to them as my self-publishing coach. It's a self-publishing service, and they have all the tools that you need, with them. And there are a lot of them. They're not a vanity publisher or anything. They don't do the publishing for you. They just kind of give you the support that you need in finding editors, finding graphic artists, finding, people who are going to help you with a press release or something like that. And I think that everybody who has the ability to do so should get a service like that, just because they can kind of guide you to things that are not going to go so well. When I first wrote my very first book, Original Grace, the first time I wrote it, the cover was terrible. The interiors were not formatted well. It was just a plain black and white interior. I didn't have my margins set correctly. They looked awful. And my publishing coach has helped me kind of see the error of my ways and go in and, I've redone all my interiors. Now all my covers match. They've got the same color themes with them. The writing on the front cover is the same for all my books. That's something that I never thought about before. Why would I think about that? I didn't know what I was doing.
You mean the font? Are you talking about the typeface?
Not just the typeface, but do you mind if I pull up one of my books?
Oh my gosh.
Not just the typeface, but when you have the typeface, and I know this is backwards, isn't it? I'm sorry. It's like the size of the name of the book, and then at the top, the size of the series, and then where your author name is on the book. If you take mine, all of them are exactly in the same place.
Yeah. Consistent formatting is what you're talking about.
Consistent formatting. Yes.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
I didn't think about that before. Why would I?
Yeah.
Well, it looks great.
I was just throwing a story out there and hoping somebody was going to read it.
And so how did you discover, if you don't mind just sharing a little bit more about that, how did you discover your cover designer? How did you discover the service that you're describing? Like, was it just Google, or did you talk to other authors?
It was really a search on one of the Facebook writing groups that I was in. And, I had talked to a couple of people, and they were telling me mainly get this type of service, get a publishing service or a publishing, not one of the vanity presses. And there's a huge difference in what one is over the other. And then I went and did my Google search based on some things that they were telling me that I needed to look for. And when I did end up getting it, the service that I have, one of my main editors, actually my cover editor, lives 20 miles from me. So,
wow.
Yeah. And now my interior editor, she's up in Ohio somewhere. So they're kind of all over, but it's one service. You go in kind of one place and they give you tools to do different things with.
Awesome. In case there are any aspiring authors, do you want to drop the name?
It's called Publish Pros. Very simple, just Publish Pros.
Cool. And now I know you have a lot coming up with the start of the year. There's things coming out, releasing, but I also feel like, you shared you weren't entirely sure where your writing's going to take you next. So does that mean there are more books in this series? Does that mean you might pivot completely? What are you up to, and what are you seeing for yourself?
I really still think that there's a lot of story to tell in this series. I don't know if I am going to do a fourth book of the main series right away, or if I'm going to take a little bit of time and do a few character companions and then make my way back to the main series. Because those main series books are a little taxing to write. I usually go in and I've got my beginning. I know what my ending is going to be. And then you have to fill in and find a way to incorporate your characters to get from that beginning to the ending that you want. At least that's how I write. I don't write sequentially. I write scenes and just kind of spatter them throughout. And then I write my connective tissue. So.
Oh, I love that phrasing.
Yeah.
I always think about like the structure is like scaffolding, but I love connective tissue. Go, sorry, Richard.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I was just, when she was thinking about what we were talking about before we started filming, and Joyce was saying how there's a spice level to some of her books, and so I wanted to ask, what's the spiciest thing in the books to get people intrigued?
There's a good bit of language in the books. I'm not gonna lie. They have some language. The first book does have a few spicy scenes between two of the main characters, and they're not two characters that you see at the very beginning of the book. So it's a little interesting twist on where that goes. The next few books in, I think the second book has two spicy scenes. There's also some violence in my books. You can't have vampires without a little bit of violence.
Of course.
Even though by the time the second book comes around, they're no longer considered vampires because they have been elevated by ingesting the blood of gods.
Ooh,
which is where the turned gods comes from, and they are now known as the turned.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
I am so intrigued to read all of them. I'm just saying. I know y'all.
And the fact that it comes from someone like Joyce, who's like very poised, very articulate, and then she's like, "There's a ton of swear words." And a ton of
I'm gonna assume there's some sexual stuff because that's what spicy also means to me. But that's
a little bit.
That's just me projecting. So,
well, what I think that you would like, what you should probably start with is Galen's Alley.
Okay.
It's a novella. It's a period piece, and it is set in 1901 in Genova, Italy, before it was changed, before the name of the city was changed to Genoa. So in 1901, it was still known as Genova, Italy, and that's where I set it. It is what happens and what leads Galen to turn his partner Vivian into a vampire.
Okay. And have you been to that part of Italy? Is that why you use that?
I have not. I want to go there. I've done a lot of research on it, and I do want to go there, but I have not been fortunate enough to be there yet.
Oh, I hope you get to go. That's awesome.
That's your recommendation for Kyle because she loves sex and swearing. What about innocent me who doesn't do anything inappropriate? Which one should I start with?
I don't know if I can tell you because they all have something a little inappropriate, but I would probably have you start with Lily's game. Okay. Lily is acerbic. She's a little bit of in your face. I'm not going to take anything, but there's no spice level in there, and there's no violence in there. So it's just a very kind of good introduction for Lily, who comes in my second book. She's not in the first book at all.
Okay, so you start with the hot chihuahua, and I will start with the sexy.
And then we'll switch.
We'll switch.
So tell us where people can find you. Where would you like us to point listeners to so they can learn more about you and your books and everything?
Probably my website would be the best place to start because then you can find links to all of the places that you can purchase my books, and that is jserranowrites.com. So that's JSERRANOWRITES.com. And then my social media, I've got Instagram and Facebook, but I don't post much because I am terrible with social media. Absolutely horrible. But all of my handles are at jserranowrites.
Awesome. Very, very cool. Well, it's been so fun talking to you today, and I love your series. I'm excited to see what more comes through your brain and through your imagination.
Well, thank you. I am too.
Thanks so much for being with us today.
Congratulations.
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I really, really appreciate you having me on.
And we'll hopefully see you at the festival in person.
Absolutely.
We're driving together, so she'll be there.
Oh, I guess she does have to drive you. Yeah, we talked about that. Okay.
Yeah,
well, there you have it.
Yep. He can fly down to Charleston. I'll pick him up at the airport and we'll drive from there.
Sounds fun. We'll record it for this podcast.
I'm gonna fly because I'm far, far away, but we'll see each other there.
Arizona, right?
I'm in New Mexico.
New Mexico. Yeah. I knew it was a desert somewhere.
It's a desert. All right, Joyce. Well, we look forward to seeing you, and we'll see more from you, I know, and I'm excited to see you in April.
All right. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in April.
You're welcome. Take care.
Bye.
Get ready for an unforgettable experience at the Wolf Media Festival. Join us at the Hilton Event Center, April 18th, 19th, and 20th, 2025, for a weekend filled with exciting films, creative workshops, inspiring panels, and interactive events. From film screenings to photography exhibits, podcast showcases to TikTok battles, there's something for everyone. Get your tickets now at www.wolfmediafest.com.
I'm so excited that she's coming in person.
I know.
She's so sweet, isn't she? So like timid and
Yeah.
sweet sounding. And then, oh man, you guys, her books. Of course I'm going to like it. The first thing she said when she came in was, I'm watching all these superhero movies. I'm watching all these vampire movies and I got inspired. And so of course, that's like me in a nutshell.
Yeah. I love, we didn't talk about it with her, but I love the fact that she started writing as a hobby. She notes on her website that she was widowed quite young, and so she started writing as a hobby, and here she is 6 books deep. And I mean, that's impressive. I'm just
And still feels like an imposter.
Yeah.
I know, but she is everything about her is so impressive. You guys don't know, I kind of chit chat with her back and forth every once in a while, and she's always like, oh, I'm kind of boring. And she has like this amazing brain, this amazing history. She's traveled a lot. I want her to be my travel partner. She's very cool.
Yeah, I think so too. That was fun.
I don't know if you guys are this way, but when you travel somewhere, you like get really excited about traveling, but then once you're there, you're kind of scared to do anything. You're like, I'm going to stay close to the hotel, or I'm just going to go to this thing that I heard about. She seems like the person who can be like, no, come on, we're going to go explore something you don't know yet.
Yeah, I'm not a timid traveler though, man. I love.
Oh, are you?
Oh, I'm not. I love to when I travel. I go off the beaten path. I don't do the touristy things. I just get into adventures.
That's the life I want. But of course, it's like when we travel, it's like, oh, let's go to Chili's for dinner. I'm like, there's a Chili's everywhere. I don't want to go to Chili's, but that's what everybody knows, or McDonald's or something. I'm like, okay, this is boring, but safe, I guess. Whatever.
What would be your superpower?
Oh,
I don't know, because I want to save the world for sure. But I really think like something along what Joyce said, like telepathic abilities or maybe future reading. Oh, wait, I just changed my mind. Shape-shifting. I maybe want to be a shapeshifter.
That's a good one.
Yeah, because then, especially if you don't just shapeshift into other living creatures, but maybe I'm just a desk. I can eavesdrop on other people's conversations still,
I feel like that's the trend right now, because she was like, telepathy, then I know what people are thinking. And as you're saying that, I'm like, I would want an invisibility cloak.
Yeah.
So I could just be places and hear and see everything happening and no one knows I'm there.
Yep. What about you, Richard?
I think X-ray vision.
Ooh.
Yep.
Why? Exactly.
Great question. I don't know. That's just as soon as she said that, I was like, I would want to see what's on the other side of that without maybe it's the scared little child in me that I want to see what's like. I don't want to go through that door to see what's in the dark. I want to be able to see it without having to go into it.
Yes, you naughty little boy. But you could be a doctor who just gets things done with your patients quicker.
It's true.
Just say body scan. Oh, I see a tumor.
Yeah, but I'm not smart enough to be a doctor, so I'll just look through doors and pants.
Keep it simple.
I think you would be such a great doctor, though. You're, like I said before, you're so like cute and jolly, and that's what people want when they're in a scary moment,
They do.
I mean, I worked in hospitals for 7 years, so I guess
yeah, that's true.
Close enough.
True. Yeah.
Close enough.
If you guys, I'm gonna take a turn, but if you guys weren't doing the things you're doing now, what would you guys do instead?
Oh my gosh.
Job wise.
Ooh, forensic science, forensic psychology, crime.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I mean, because it feels like what would be your dream job, and this is so. But if not, probably a teacher. I always wanted to be a teacher.
I could see
I also
that.
wanted to be a construction worker. So
you just want the hard hat, though, right?
I wanted to be. This is what I wanted. This is why I wanted to do it. I wanted to be outside, and then it feels like you're getting a workout in at the same time, so I don't have to do that, and I would get tan.
That is true. You could also do that firefighting.
You get but that's a lot. That's you're covered, so you can get tan. Yeah, that's called burn.
But
So
firefighters are super hot and buff, and sometimes they just be out there like washing their trucks down and
that's porn, is what that is, Jacquelynn. That's not real
I'm
life.
here
That
for
is
it. So we're clear. I'm
porn
here for
in
that.
movies.
my bad.
Don't ask me
I
how I
have-
know it.
I live very close to a fire station, and there really is. It is one of the sexiest professions. Like, I feel like they do like a modeling talent scout to hire firefighters because they are all. I'm like, we need to start a fire real quick so we can get them over here.
Oh my God. I have
They're
so many
all
stories.
very, very lovely men.
I've had a lot of hot encounters with firemen. Sorry, a lot of encounters with firemen.
Wow.
No, I mean,
Freudian slip. Freudian
it's-
slip.
Mhm,
in
mhm.
situations where suddenly there's a whole gang of them and they're like walking out of something like they're superheroes and there's mist everywhere and
Yeah, yeah.
I hear you, girl.
Wipe the drool real quick. All right.
Oh,
Okay.
All right. Everybody, don't forget to like, subscribe, other things,
share, rate.
share.
You.
We have the Patreon and we have the Buy Me a Coffee, and I wanted to say a different time to make up for Richard and Kyle's birthday, you can buy them coffee.
Yay.
So
That'd
that
be
was
nice.
that was a couple months-ish ago at this point, but hey, buy them a coffee, please. Buy a coffee, Patreon, blah blah blah, the things, stalk us, follow us.
Well,
Don't good
No
luck,
stalking.
stalk.
No stalking. We're
I feel
good.
like all
Maybe
of our
just buy us a
social
coffee.
medias are either
I'll
we're
take coffee.
either completely private on our social medias, or it's like the things that we already share all the time for everybody to see anyways. So
That's fair.
there's don't actually in person stalk us, but social media stalk us if you want. That's fine. Wolf Media Festival Podcast with Kyle Hollingsworth, Richard Wilmore, and Jacquelynn Wolfheart. Produced and edited by me. I'm Jacquelynn Wolfheart. Don't forget to check out the links in the description to find ways you can connect with our guests. Thanks for checking us out today and tuning in every week wherever you get your podcasts.